So basically, Russia has survived the impact of sanctions and the Russian economy is still afloat. China, on the other hand, is struggling. Chinese banks have frozen deposits. Local governments are broke, and China is unable to shake off the latest wave of Wuhan virus cases. In fact, the Wuhan virus is now back in Wuhan, the original epicenter of the pandemic. It's reporting a fresh outbreak. How many cases? Just 4 so far. And all the patients are asymptomatic. The outbreak is limited to just one district. That is what China claims. But in typical fashion, China has ordered everyone to stay at home. We are talking about 1 million citizens under lockdown in Wuhan. 1 million. They're not allowed to move around anymore. Large group events have been banned. Dining at restaurants also banned. Entertainment venues and markets closed. Bus and subway services suspended. China's zero COVID protocol is kicking in Wuhan. The people are afraid of what could follow. The present lockdown is nothing like 2020. Back then, 11 million people were under lockdown in Wuhan. This time, around 970,000. But the people of Wuhan fear that this is just the beginning and that Beijing will widen these restrictions. In 2020, the people of Wuhan lived through their worst nightmare. The Chinese state botched up its response. First, it ignored the outbreak. Then it silenced the whistleblowers. Finally, when the cases began to grow, China attempted a cover-up. By then, it was too late. The Wuhan virus had spread across mainland China, and from there, it springboarded to the rest of the world. By August 2020, almost the entire world was struggling with the Wuhan virus. What about Wuhan? Well, the city came out of the lockdown, and almost immediately, the residents were out and about. They were partying. You might remember these pictures. Thousands of people in an open-air water park. There were no masks or social distancing. The Chinese state was pulling off the mother of all spins here. It claimed victory over the Wuhan virus. 2 years later, they're back to where they started. Wuhan is under lockdown again, and the Chinese state is unable to tame this homegrown virus. Beijing also tried to evade responsibility for the spread. Remember, China insists that the pandemic did not begin in Wuhan, but the world sees it as the epicenter. And despite China's best efforts, more evidence keeps coming out. 2 new studies have been published. They confirm what many have suspected. The Wuhan wet market was the launch pad for the virus. These are 2 new studies. Let me tell you what they found. These scientists studied the initial cases linked to the wet market. This is the Huanan seafood market. China had immediately shut it down when the first cases were reported. This happened in December 2019. The scientists looked into these early cases and their findings are very interesting. They say the virus jumped from animals to humans. There are at least 2 separate transmission events. They could have happened in November 2019. Let me show you a map. This is the city of Wuhan. The dots here represent the patients who tested positive in December 2019. Now, do you see the cluster of cases in the middle? That's where the Huanan wet market is. Most of the cases detected in the early days were found near the market. Did they come from a lab and spread in the market? Or did they originate in the market? If you ask China, none of the above. It denies that the pandemic even began in Wuhan. The world, though, knows otherwise, and the proof is piling up. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.